Here with reaction, Oklahoma Senator, cage fighter Markwayne Mullin. Senator, I should say, good to see you. I apologize.
Sean, Markwayne's good. You and I have known each other for a long time. We're good.
I appreciate that. Give me your take on the left. I mean, kind of losing their minds when Donald Trump, kind of tongue-in-cheek, is like, I'm going to be a dictator on one day and undo the policies of Joe Biden on the border and on drilling.
Yeah, I mean, he said, drill, baby, drill, and secure our border. That doesn't sound like a dictator to me. That sounds like someone's trying to get our economy back on track and at the same time try to secure our border when we are hitting literally records day after day after day on the border. I mean, it's laughable at how the Biden administration and the left media tries to spin everything they say. I mean, remember, Joe Biden, when he came into office on day one, he said he was going to reverse all the policies and executive orders that Trump put into place. And the ones he couldn't just sign over, he was going to have executive orders to undo to begin with. And what have we had? We've had a worse economy with inflation at record highs. It's just, and then saying that they're going to go after their political enemies, which he didn't say that in that comment. That's not what he said, but that's where they go to. And look what they have done to him. They literally have been going after him ever since he left office, and while he was in office, they wouldn't leave him alone. So it is so hypocritical and disgusting to see the way that the left media reacts.
We mentioned Joe Biden in these orders, he has ruled by fiat. When he imposed that eviction moratorium, he and his administration knew that it would be overturned by the Supreme Court, and they did it anyway.
Anyways,
that is
right.
The very definition of being dictatorial.
Well, I tell you one thing that we did, that Trump did, and the administration, or the Trump administration did, and the Republicans did, is we got a very conservative court put in place. And without that conservative court, you would have these overreaches going literally wild. There has not been a single president of the United States that we've had that's had more executive orders overturned by the Supreme Court than Joe Biden. Now, the good thing about this is it's putting strong checks and balances on the executive orders, because we all cry foul about this, Republicans and Democrats, about executive orders by the president that go around Congress. And so I actually am excited that they continue to overreach in some degree, because it's forcing the courts to strike it down, which puts more power back in the people's hands, which is back in Congress.
But when the Supreme Court tamps down these executive orders, you have Joe Biden's administration and Democrats say, well, that's a problem. We want to actually pack the court. We've got to change the court, which is, again, another sign of dictators. But, Senator, I want to move to this because word on the street is yesterday's Senate briefing about a supplemental aid request totaling more than $100 billion. It got a little bit heated. Tell us about what happened.
Well, as soon as we walked in, we knew something was wrong, because we had no one there from border that was going to talk to us about the securing our border and understanding what we was going to do. So no one from the Department of Homeland Security was there. Instead, you had Secretary Austin that got up there and just read literally a statement. Nothing was classified. You had General Brown, who did the same thing, and you had Secretary Blinken, who I do not trust. I think he's a liar every time he's talking, who did the same thing. And then you had Schumer, that immediately when he started talking about MAGA Republicans with their ridiculous demands on the border that is putting the security of Israel and Ukraine at risk. Well, there were several Republican members that got very heated about that, pushed back immediately. And what I feel like we should have all done is we should have got up and walked away, because we know what their message is going to be. They're going to go out there and say that we're trying to hold Israel and hold Ukraine hostage by ridiculous demands on the border, when they know good and well that in 2010 and 2021 and 2012, we had a total of an average of 21,000 illegal crossings coming and claiming asylum on our southern border. Today, we're doing that every 2 days. We have a crisis on our southern border, and it is a truly national security risk, and the Democrats want to ignore it. For what reason? They can't even answer.
What do they say? Do they act like it's not happening?
I think they want an open border. They're not even talking about amnesty. Keep in mind, for the last 2 years, or for the first 2 years underneath the Biden administration, they could have brought up border policy. They didn't try one single bill. When Pelosi and Schumer both were in charge of both chambers and Biden in charge of the White House, not one single border bill did they bring up. Not one. And now all of a sudden they're saying that we're being ridiculous because we're setting new records of crossings. Just yesterday, we had over 12,000 illegal crossings take place. That's a new single-day record for our southern border illegal crossings. We have 151 known terrorists that we've apprehended. No telling how many. By the way, that's just in the last calendar year. There's no telling how many got through. And when you talk to them about this, they ignore it. If Biden was smart, Biden would take it because it would actually be in his favor.
Yes.
Because the American people say 70% of the American people, regardless if you're Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, or Republican, that your number one concern is the southern border. And Democrats fall on deaf ears on this.
You know, Senator, when I go home, a lot of people will say the Congress needs to compromise and find a solution on the border. And I keep making the point, you can't compromise with a group of people who want open borders. This is what they want. This is the vision of the border that Democrats want. They're not going to compromise to change it. And so, again, I hope the Senate holds its ground. Good for Mitch McConnell, hanging in there. Not been the biggest fan of Mitch's, but he's been right on this. Hopefully you guys continue to...
Sean, Republicans are 100% united on our border. Regardless if you're in the House or in the Senate, we're united that we are not moving a supplemental package until we have meaningful border security. That doesn't mean that they say they want $13.9 billion for processing centers, but actually meaningful border security, which is going to stem the flow of illegal crossings.
Markwayne Mullin, Senator, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.